All right, everybody. This is a review video for exam two. We'll go through chapter 7 right now, which is mostly concentrated around bond and bond valuation. We'll cover a couple terms that are very important when it comes to bonds, and I'll give you a few examples that might come up in exam two and also on your final. So the big question here is, what is a bond? A bond is a type of investment that represents a loan between a borrower and a lender. So a bond is an investment, right? It's a type of investment that represents a loan between a buyer, a buyer or borrower. We'll call it borrower, and a lender. So that's basically what a bond is. A bond is a type of investment that represents a loan between a borrower and a lender. All right. So it's similar to getting a personal loan from a bank, except in this case, you are the lender, or the investor, or the creditor, and the borrower is generally a government or a corporation. All right. Let's repeat these terms so you guys can understand what I'm saying. So think of a bond as getting a personal loan from the bank, and in this case, if you're getting a loan from the bank, you are the lender, so you are the bank, also known as investor, also known as creditor, right? You become the creditor, the investor, or the lender, and then the person who's borrowing the money is known as the borrower. Okay, in this case, it'll be a corporation who's borrowing money to build a new plant, or the government who's issuing bonds to build a new government building, to build a new bridge, or to build whatever they're trying to build. So a big corporation will issue bonds. The government also will issue some bonds. So with bonds, a bond is like an IOU, right? An IOU. You guys know that term, IOU. So in essence, the issuer promises to make regular interest payments to the investor at a specific rate and at a specific date. The issuer promises to return the money back to the investor. Okay, so let's repeat what I just said right now. So with the bonds, the issuer, right? The issuer here could be the corporation or the government. So we'll say corporation slash government, right? The issuer promises, right, to make regular interest payments. Also, the issuer promises to return the principal amount at maturity. Okay, the principal amount at maturity. So the issuer of the bond promises to make regular interest payments, and also at the end, at maturity, the issuer will pay back the principal, right? The principal, the face value. Therefore, right here I'll put a plug. Therefore, how do you value a bond? How do you value a bond? Well, if the bond has interest payments and principal payments, therefore the value of the bond is simply the present value of all your interest payments, which we'll call the coupon payments, plus the present value of the par value. The par value is the value you're getting at maturity, right? At maturity, you're getting the par value plus the last payment of your interest. So in essence, the value of a bond is the present value of the interest payments plus the present value of the par value. All right. So this is the diagram that I'll look at when I look at a bond, right? Here, the bank or the government issues the bond in time zero. This is T0. And the bond will be issued for a period of 5 years, T5. Then the government or the corporation will T0, T5. The corporation 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So at time 1, time 2, time 3, time 4, and time 5. So the corporation or the government entity will say that we will pay interest payment annually and at the end, the 5 years, you will get your maturity payment. So year 1, you get interest payment. Year 2, you get interest payment. Year 3, you get interest payment. Year 4, you get interest payment. Year 5, you get interest payment plus the par value. So if you guys have learned anything up to now, how do you value a stream of cash flows? How do you value that? Well, by doing the present value. So here, to value this bond that was issued at time 0, what is the present value of this bond? The present value of this bond is the present value of all the interest payments plus the present value of the par value that you're receiving at the end. Right? So it's the present value of par value plus the present value of all these interest payments that will give you the value of the bond. Okay? As simple as that when you're trying to value a bond. All right? So what are the terms that are very important when it comes to bond? First of all, we looked at the bond. We said it was a loan, all right, from the investor to the issuer, right? That's the first term. Second term, what is the par value? Well, normally the par value of the bond, they're denominated in $1,000. Okay, so if there's no information given to tell you exactly what the value of the par value is, you will assume that it is $1,000. The par value of a bond is the value that you're receiving at maturity. So value received at maturity. Okay, what is the third term that's very important here? We spoke about coupon rate, right? So the coupon rate is what is the interest rate you will use, to calculate your coupon payments. So interest to calculate coupon payments. All right, coupon payments. Fourth term, what is a coupon payment? Well, a coupon payment is the interest payments received on a bond, right? So example, if you have a bond, if you have $1,000 bond, right, paying coupon rate on this bond is 10%. That's your coupon rate, and it's paying that annually. Therefore, the coupon payment would be 10% of 1,000. Therefore, $10. Or sorry, $100. Okay, so $100 is your coupon payment. $100 is your coupon payment, and 10% is your coupon rate. That's the difference between coupon payment and coupon rate. All right. Next term is your par value. The par value is the value of the bond, the price, sorry, not the value, the price of the bond at maturity. Price at maturity. Price or value. Okay, price or value. I'll put or here so nobody gets confused. And the last term is the yield to maturity. The yield to maturity is the yield that you get if you keep the bond until maturity. Okay, that's the interest, that's the yield that you receive if you keep the bond until maturity. Yield to maturity. It's the yield that you get if you keep the bond from the time you purchase the bond until maturity. So here, if you keep this bond from the time you purchase it all the way through here, well, the return you get on this bond is called yield to maturity. It's the yield that you receive if you keep the bond until maturity. Okay, it's as simple as that. Now let's look at some additional terms when it comes to bonds so you guys can get familiar with the terminology on the exam. Also, a few tips also to know if you're calculating the price of the bond properly. And I'll give you tips to understand the relationship between bond prices and interest rates. So let's get right into it. As I said, the value of a bond is simply the present value of your coupon payments, right? plus the present value of the par value. All right. So the value of the bond is simply the present value of your coupon payments plus the present value of the par value. Okay. Now, what is the relationship between your interest rate and the price of the bond? What is the relationship here? Okay. Well, we say that there is an inverse relationship. There is an inverse relationship. Inverse relationship. Relationship between the interest rate and, I don't know what happened here. Close that. Between the interest rate and the price of the bond. Okay, there is an inverse relationship between the interest rate and the price of the bond. Therefore, if the interest rate goes up, the price of the bond goes down. And if the interest rate goes down, the price of the bond goes up. As simple as that. Every single time. It never fails. If you understand this relationship, you will understand exactly the direct relationship between interest rate and price of the bond. Is a very important relationship when it comes to value, when it comes to put the valuation on the bond. Okay. Another relationship that you guys have to keep in mind, and that one will help you double check your work when you're calculating coupon rate versus bond price versus par value, and you want to know exactly if you're on the right track. Okay, so let's start with the beginning. If your yield to maturity equals to your coupon rate, okay, if the yield to maturity on the bond equals to the coupon rate, that means the bond is trading at par. Trading at par. What does that mean? Okay, the bond is trading at par. That means that the value of the bond is equal to the value of the bond at maturity. Okay, so if your YTM, your yield to maturity, equals to your coupon rate, your bond is trading at par, right? Your bond is valued at $1,000. Okay, that's point number one. Point number two, if your yield to maturity is greater than your coupon rate, then your bond is trading at a discount. Bond trading at a discount. At a discount. Okay? That means the value of the bond is less. The value of the bond is less than the nominal, the par value. Okay? Number three, now if your YTM, your yield to maturity, is less than the coupon rate, therefore your bond is trading at a premium, right? And everything that's trading at a premium is greater than the par value. Okay, so this is the relationship between your yield to maturity and your coupon rate. If your yield to maturity equals to your coupon rate, automatically you know the bond is valued at $1,000. Automatically, no need to calculate anything. At the minute where you read in the instructions in any given exams in finance for this class or any classes moving forward that talks about bond, every time you read the instruction, it says YTM, yield to maturity, and you see that it equals to the coupon rate, automatically you don't need to make any calculations, no need to take your calculator. Well, the bond value is 1,000, all right? The present value of the bond is 1,000. If your yield to maturity is greater than your coupon rate, then you know that the bond value is less than the par value, or less than $1,000 if they don't give you any information. Now, if your yield to maturity is lower or less than your coupon rate, automatically you know the bond is trading at a premium. Therefore, present value is greater than the value at maturity. The bond is valued today at more than the par value tomorrow. So if its denomination is $1,000, you know that your value of the bond for scenario 3 here, the value of the bond will be greater than $1,000. Okay. I want to point out a slide on your PowerPoint slide of chapter 7 that's very important. It's table 7.1 on your PowerPoint slides. If I were you, I would definitely copy that on my cheat sheet, or my formula sheet, as I like to call it, because you're not allowed to write anything but formulas on that cheat sheet. Please have table 7.1, slide number 18, where it talks about the bond value. This is a very important slide that will help you to calculate the bonds if it comes up on your exam. Okay. One other thing I want to talk about before we do one or two examples about this chapter, it is the use of the calculator for the value of the bond. Now, I have to say this. It is your responsibility to know exactly how your calculator works. There are multiple calculators out there, and I only use one. Therefore, I know how to use my calculator. I only know how to use my calculator. I will give you the keys that will appear on every single calculator. However, how you press them in the order in which you press them can vary between calculator to from calculator to calculator. All right, so using a calculator for bond pricing. Okay, so first term, N. N is the number of period. Okay, the number of period. If the bond is going to be issued for 5 years and it pays annually, therefore your N will be 5. Next term, PV. PV on your calculator stands for present value. PV, present value. Okay, FV stands for future value. Future value. Okay, PMT. PMT stands for payments. What are the payments? What are the coupon payments, right? Coupon payments. Next term is I, and I is your coupon rate. Okay, so if we have, I'll give you an example here and tell you how to calculate every single thing using the calculator. That way you know exactly how to save about 5 minutes on each problem that asks you to find any of these terms here. Any of these terms can be calculated. If you're missing one, you can calculate the rest of them, right? So if we have a bond, 5-year bond, paying 10% coupon, okay, and the bond is a 5-year bond paying 10%, coupon rate. And they're asking you the bond at maturity, future value at maturity is $1,000, okay, and they're asking you to the bond is valued today. A 5-year bond paying 10%, future value is $1,000, okay. They're asking you to find the present value. They ask you to find the present value, and the bond is paying 10% annually. Therefore, your N will be 5. Your present value is what you're going to look for. Your future value is $1,000. Your payment, 10% coupon, so it's 10%. It's 10% of 1,000, so this is 100. And your coupon rate. Sorry, this is not your coupon rate. This is your year to maturity, your yield to maturity. And it says that your yield to maturity is 10%, right? Your YTM is 10%. Therefore, what is the present value of the bond? Well, using the calculator, you have the period, you have the future value, you have the payment, you have the yield to maturity. Therefore, you will compute for this, and the calculator will give you the answer. All right, this is how you use the calculator to find out the bond pricing. It's fairly simple. All you have to know is be familiar with the keys that you press on your calculator, and then you'll be able to find the value of the bond. Okay, let's do another example using the calculator. I'll show you exactly how to do the value with the calculator, and I'll show you how to use the long way, which is the formula to calculate the bond pricing. Okay, so let's say you have a bond, let's say 5-year maturity, lucky number 5, 5-year bond, paying 10% annual coupon. Okay, paying 10% annual coupon, right? The par value is $1,000, and the yield to maturity is also Well, the yield to maturity is 11%. And then value to bond is the question. Value to bond is your question. All right. So using the long formula, this is how we would do it. The long formula tells you the value of the bond is the present value of your coupon payments plus the present value of the par value, right? That's what it says. And if you're using the long formula, that is on table 7.1 that I mentioned earlier, formula will be as such. The formula will be 100 times 1 minus 1 over 1 plus your YTM, your yield to maturity, to the 5th power. All right, all that divided by your yield to maturity plus the par value discounted to today. In a nutshell, this is the formula that you're going to be using. And if you solve this, the bond is valued today at $963. Why do I know that my answer is accurate? Why do I know that is accurate without having to go back and check my numbers? Well, what did I say? If your yield to maturity is if your yield to maturity is greater than your coupon rate, right? It's trading at a discount. If it's trading at a discount, well, the value of the bond is less than the par value. What did we see here? Your coupon rate is less than your yield to maturity. Therefore, the value of the bond today is less than the par value. See the relationship? Simple as that. As simple as that. Now, if we're going to be using the calculator to calculate this bond value, which will take me less than 2 minutes, N will be 5. Your yield to maturity will be 11%. Your payments is 10% of 1,000, therefore $100. Sorry. Your future value is given to you will be $1,000. Now, if you compute for the present value, you will get 963.04. I know this is true. This holds true because of this relationship here. Therefore, my math is correct. All right. This is one of the very simple, questions you'll find on the exam. Also, question that you will find in the midterm. And this is it. That is the review for chapter 7. Please review the video. If you have any additional questions, please let me know via email. And I will be more than happy to provide you with additional information. Thank you very much.